right, everyone. Welcome to the Product Led Podcast. Today, we have a fun guest. We've been, I was going to say, like friends catching up on like LinkedIn for like probably 5 or 6 years now, at least. Like you, I remember, Ricardo, like you're just the growth guy. Like on LinkedIn, you always had such great meaty posts on like all the tactics, what to do. And it's been really, honestly, super cool just seeing your whole journey, because from the like doing the consulting and helping other companies on the growth end too, you had I think there was like 3 clients when we last talked in December 2023, where you were helping them on the consulting side. And you're like, yeah, and what I do with my team as well at this stage is where we acquired this one company. It's 1.5K monthly recurring revenue. And when I was chatting with you at Sassiest, you were at 10K monthly recurring revenue. So you're like, okay, something's working. And then fast forward 18 months and you're at 270K monthly recurring revenue with BetterPic. And so it's just fascinating story. And best of all is you did this part-time. Most founders are like bending over backwards, like working full tilt on all these things. But you still were doing the consulting. You still have even another fun, really cool company that you're working on right now too, in addition to BetterPic. So it's always been part-time. So it's so awesome to have you here and be able to kind of dissect your journey, how you build a product-led company so quickly with all part-time life. So welcome, man.
I sometimes forget it's part-time. So it's good that you mentioned it again. It's gonna change soon though. I think we're getting to that limit where it should be part-time anymore. But yeah, the moment we're speaking, it's still part-time indeed.
Totally. And for those that like don't know what BetterPic is, like it's the most realistic and customizable AI headshot generator. So you can upload your photos that look okay or like crap, and it just outcomes amazing photos at the end of the day that are super professional as well. And so really simple product, but it's super cool to just see how many people have used it. How many like users are you at right now?
I would say on a monthly basis, we have around 7,000 clients, give or take, like between 6,000 to 7,000. Really depending on how you look at it, because we have a lot of B2B customers that then invite their people, but there's only like one customer in Stripe, right? So I would say it's around 7,000 to 10,000 people that we service every single month.
Wow. That's a lot of photos. So you are one of the biggest photo takers in the world.
We're definitely in the top 3 right now, which I think is interesting because we started quite late, I would say.
Yeah. And what I like about this story that we're going to dive into as well, that I usually don't have the opportunity, is like, usually I always ask like, what was your founding story? Like, how did this happen? But can you share a little bit about the acquisition itself? So you found out about this company pretty early. They're at 1.5K monthly recurring revenue. And you were like, hey, how did that go down? How do you decide like, hey, let's make this work? Because you definitely were always fantastic, like at the growth side. And then you're deciding, okay, I want to maybe have more leverage. Like, tell us through what you were thinking at that stage.
Yeah, so I would say when I started the agency, so when that was about 8 years ago, in the statement was, we're doing this to learn so that we can acquire a company one day, or not really acquire, but really do it on our own, basically. So that was always a philosophy. We're like, let's get paid to learn in that sense. And so we've been doing that. So, we said in 5 years time, we're going to have a SaaS. It's now 8 years later, but, business plans never work out in that sense. And so we've always had that mindset of, okay, let's position ourselves as close as possible to the opportunities and check out from there. And so I tried coding myself. Like I went to like coding schools. I was horrible at it. I realized going into JavaScript is like, am I going to be the best coder in the world? Probably not. Okay, I need to solve this issue in a different way, basically. So I subscribed to acquire.com, all these websites. And one of the websites was Side Projectors, I believe, sideprojectors.com, somewhere around that. And I got a newsletter, and it was BetterPic. I was for sale for about 20K. And I'm like, I read the description. It's like, hey, I had shots. And I was like, and I have a very funny brain. And it sounds like it needs to be very simplistic. My question was really like, I saw it as like, in 5 years time, when I asked myself, and my kids come up to me, I was like, hey, Dad, you were going to a photographer, taking 2 hours of your time, changing clothing, and then, for just one picture in your LinkedIn, that's really what you did. And your answer would be, yeah, that's weird. And if that is yes, like this is weird, then you should build something for that. So I saw that. I was like, well, yeah, of course, if the technology does what it says it does or will eventually work out, then it's a no-brainer for people. Like you would not explain to your kids and say, okay, let's go to the photographer boy. And it's like, no, you just like, yeah, you just use the
Yeah.
technology, upload some selfies, and it's
With
done
your phone
basically.
too.
So
Like that's, yeah,
exactly.
why not?
So for me, it was like a no-brainer. It's like if the technology is going to work, then you would never go back into that situation. And so we reached out, we had a chat with Miguel, which is actually now my CTO. And, it was just a click from the good start. Like we had such good conversations and then he got offered, I think 15 to 20K as well to do the business. And I said, look, I'm going to buy it, but I'm going to buy it for $1. Like it's $1. And he's like, what? Why would you pay just $1 for it? And so because I asked him, it's like, do you really want to like continue the business and you just don't have enough funding to do so? Or do you just want to sell it and start something new? And his answer was, no, I want to kickstart. I want to, go ahead with this. I really believe in this vision, but I just don't have the funds to continue basically. I'm like, okay, well, that's an interesting thing. So if we're going to do that, let's meet up. I was living in Spain. He was living in Spain. It was like, let's drive 3 hours to each other, have dinner, get drunk, and see how it clicks, basically. And, we spent the whole evening thinking about how do we see the future? What's your vision? What's your mission? What do you want to achieve in the coming 5 years? Like we had all this really deep talks about the product, but also like personal life, like where do you want to go? Like, do you want to have kids in 2 years or not? Like, how do you see that? And it really clicked. And I think that the next day I just made an offer. I just said, look, this is the buck. Like you're getting $1 from me, but I believe that I can bring whatever you're asking right now, and I can double or triple that over the coming year, basically, in valuation, basically. And so I made him a deal, said, look, I'm going to invest a minimum of 200K into the business with people and marketing spend over the coming 1 year. And then my bet is that your 20K that you're asking right now is worth a lot more in the coming year, basically, which, if you look at the revenue numbers, I would agree it is. It's worth a lot more in that sense. But yeah, that's basically, he took a bet on me. I took a bet on the business as well. And that's basically how the origin story came along, which is quite atypical. It's not like two founders thinking about an idea. It's basically a little bit atypical. But, I like atypical things, I would say.
Yeah. So he's still on board. He's still the CTO for the company.
Still the CTO. We get along very well. I think sometimes like when you're trying to meet a co-founder is how difficult was it to have a difficult conversation? So that's basically what I'm trying to look for. And so when I made the offer and we had like a founder's agreement, like we had like a long document, it's like, okay, this is how the acquisition will be. And it really, like the acquisition happened in a week, basically. It took us a week to go to the hard stuff, basically, because we aligned on most of the things we were discussing. Of course, there were things we didn't agree with, but there's things that we could come to an agreement very quickly. And I think that's what I really valued in the relationship. And even now, like there's things we disagree with and the direction where we're headed, but we can agree very quickly, even if we disagree in that sense. So I appreciate that in people when I look for co-founders, because, I've had a couple of them, didn't always work out. So I've learned my lessons there, I would say.
But that's such a fun acquisition story, because I know there's definitely a lot of people listening to this where they are the same as you, where it's like they're great at the growth piece, but they don't necessarily have the technical know-how. Like I put myself in that camp too. I'm like, do not hire me to code. Like anyone's better than me on that end. And so it's like, it's a low bar.
Please don't.
But yeah, it's
give me
like
something else to do, but not the coding.
Yeah, give me PLG. It's easy for me. But okay, so you got the company for $1. You had that expectation, I'm going to be investing a ton in this. And then as far as like the equity, I'm sure like whatever he had on that end, it's going to be worth way more. So you can see like there is a huge upside on this. Now, walk us through the first 12 months. So you had like, actually, let's do increments of 7 months, because you had like 18 months in general to go from, 1.5K to 270 plus thousand per month. What were some of the first few things you did? Because some people are like, hey, if you got a good product, what do you do now? Was it just lack of eyeballs, or what happened next?
So to start with, the product was complete shit. So that was the interesting part. So
Here's the
1st of
honesty.
December 2023, we acquired a business, and then 23rd, 24th, I'm sitting down with the family, my mother, my partner, that my brother was there with his girlfriend. So we're having this chat. I was like, hey, by the way, announcement, this is what's happening basically. And so they've all tried the product. It is, I think, on the onboarding spend like 50 minutes. So courageous people, I would say. And so they spent 50 minutes and then they got results, and, their facing was priceless. It was so bad. Like, it's like, this doesn't even look like me. And some people still try to be gentle, I would say. What the hell did you call this? So it's like, I don't even know who the fuck this person is. Like, okay, and I get that, and I thought that was really cool because that means that there's so much room for opportunity. And if we're bad, we're probably not the only one that is very bad at the state of the technology that we're in, basically. So I took that bet, and it was just really bad. And it was really bad, I would say, all the way to us doing 32K, which is somewhere in August 2024. So that's 7 months in. The first 7 months were just really bad. Like, our refund rate in the beginning was 10%, basically. To compare it right now, we're at 2%, 2.2. So it gives you a little bit of an idea. Our refund rate dropped by 5 over the past 1.5 years. So it was just really, really bad. And I think that was an interesting journey. And I think anything that is bad in the beginning, which most products are in the beginning, as a founder, you have to invest in a few things. One is the long-term gain. So that means that if it's bad now, we want to invest in SEO straight away because that will pay off in 7 months when the product might get better, basically. So my philosophy from day one is like, we're going to invest in SEO straight away. Also because we knew that the average order value in the beginning was about $15. We're at 47 right now. Even with that
Like,
average basket
channels work at
size.
that level, which double click for everyone who has a product that company. If your
Exactly.
ACV is super low, it does limit all the channels you go through. So that's fantastic.
It cancels a few of the channels, right? Like, you can't do most of the paid ads that you're
Trade
thinking about. So
shows, a lot of ads. Yeah.
it's all out. It's all out, basically. Like, even in the beginning, we turned some of the paid ads on. Like, we were not profitable. We burned. And so we invested heavily in the organic channels to get the first traction out and to make sure that we know that when the product gets better, at least we have started the process, that we didn't start too late in that sense. Because the only way we could get profitability is by investing in organic channels, because our ACV was so low, basically. So I think that's the first thing that we did from the start, is making the long-term bets of this is going to pay off at some point, basically. Second thing is we've built a lot of the foundations. We have implemented marketing automation software from the beginning. We had 20, 30 users in the beginning, but we had crazy flows going on. We had, like, if you leave an NPS of 4, but you didn't like a picture, you would get a different email. You get a welcome sequence with discount codes. We had crazy flows still until today. And I think that was implemented from January to March, and we had crazy flows going on, which really helped us scale at some point. In the beginning, you're like, why do you do this? And at some point when you're scaling, you don't want to be busy writing email flows. You want to be busy scaling the product, basically. So we invested in these infrastructure, I would say, from the beginning. We redid our whole website. We built a very strong website that converted like crazy afterwards. So we invested really in I would call them the basics, I would say, which is funny because when we consult clients, like, they're quite advanced and they're like very immature on the marketing side. So I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but we really invested in the basic because we know the effort it takes, but also that was our strength in that sense. So we really invested in the basics because we knew that the product would catch up at one point. And at one point, we'll be able to rescale the channels, basically. So that's basically what we did in the first 7 months. Going from 1.5K to around 32K is really the organic side, and making sure that the foundations were ready.
Yeah. And so one thing in a very competitive market where the product moat isn't the biggest thing. We were talking a bit about this before we recorded, but it's so smart that you focused on SEO very early on, because if you type in like AI photo generator or something like that, like those terms are worth a lot, especially as more people are starting, like you mentioned, back to the origin story of why you decided to do this. It's like, if your kid's asking you, like, you spent 3 hours getting your photo taken, like, how stupid. I just use BetterPic. It's like, that's probably going to be a lot more common as the models and everything get way better. It's just going to be expectation. Yeah, that's what everybody does on that end. And so, yeah, locking down those early channels is a moat. And every company should have at least like 2 or 3 really killer moats that make it hard to compete. So that's what I really like about what you built here, is even though the product stuff might not be the biggest moat, there is on the acquisition side, hey, that's amazing. It's going to be really hard to get that amount of traffic for any newcomer to this space. So just want to shout out that, because you had that, then you had the really good acquisition funnel on that end. Like, I'm looking at your homepage for BetterPic. It's fantastic. Like, that's your sweet spot. Like, I feel like this kind of product was built for you to just like master. And I just am waiting for you to get to the 1 mil per month mark. It's coming.
I agree. I'm not sure when it's coming. I mean, in my projections, I know where it's coming, but there's always projections, right? So, but yeah, I agree.
Totally.
And I think, getting to 200K and getting to 20K and getting to like 2 million, those are different games that you have to play. You're playing a different kind of game, you're different kind of channels, different kind of team setup, there's a lot of change. And I believe like at some point we'll plateau, we'll have to reinvent ourselves and then take that growth curve again. Like I've always been fantasized with these growth curves that go like this. I was like, yeah, that happens like to 0.1%. But the real thing is like, you kind of go like a I don't know, like a Tetris basically. And I believe at some point we'll have to Tetris as well, reinvent, think about the new feature, which we're actually already building right now. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey, I would say. And it's still an interesting journey.
Totally. So first 7 months to recap, you double down on SEO, you improve the basics on the marketing side, amazing marketing, amazing site, get a lot more of those conversions at a amazing price. And then you're working on building a lot of those essentially flows that take people through just the product experience. They don't do specific things. You send them emails to make sure they do get the value and all those pieces. So walk me through the second 7 months. So going up to month 14, from 7 to 14, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think we're now in, let's say October 2024, we're doing about 47K. And then over the next 7 months, we're at 271K, which is been an interesting journey, I would say, because that's like, 5-6 over about 5 months. So that's an interesting journey, I would say. And I don't think anybody was expecting it, to be very bluntly, because we set this KPI. We're like, hey, you know what? 0 to 50K. I set that as a goal, like 50K monthly revenue by December 2024. As everybody's like, you're crazy. We're doing 1.5K. Never has been done. And so once
you are the growth guy, but you're crazy.
I can be a little bit ambitious, basically, right? And so when we hit 47K in October 2024, we're like, oh, this guy is not that crazy anymore about 50K. Let's see where we kind of end up, basically. And we ended up in December 2024. I mean, we all flew to Belgium. We had a company team offsite. We always meet every single 6 months in a different country. We were sitting in Belgium. It was like beginning of December. We're like, we're going to hit over 100K this month. It's like, nah. It's like, yeah, we're going to hit over 100K. And we did. We hit about 113K in December. And, it was crazy to see that journey. And I think that is really thankful to the basics that we've implemented back then. And then we also adapted our pricing all the way. We had an ACV of about 15 and then kind of grew all the way to 47 right now. And once you grow your ACV, because we had a studio to it, so you would purchase your headshots, but then you would have a studio to adapt your background, change your clothing, all of those things. And you can actually increase the ACV. And because we increased our ACV, that opened up new channel opportunities. Suddenly, paid ads were actually profitable, which weren't in the beginning. So it's interesting how a company grows and your ACV grows, and that opens up new channels. And because it opens new channels, you strategically grow again. The same thing we're right now is like Google Ads were not profitable. Now we have like profitability of 2 to 3 times. Facebook ads were not profitable. Now we're actually getting to a point where it gets profitable. So it opens up, once you grow and grow your SCV, it opens up channels. And because it opens up channels, you open up growth opportunities again. So that's basically what's been happening on over like the last 7 months, is you open up new channels, plus you have the
Totally.
SEO or the organic that has been compounding over months, basically. So you put that into a mix and suddenly you have the revenue that we have.
You were just talking about like from month 7 to 14, and you were initially thinking like December 2024 would be at like 50K monthly recurring revenue. Then all of a sudden it's like 100K. What contributed to that growth? Because that's amazing.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things I would say. So definitely the basics, the foundation that we laid off is definitely paying off, because like all those marketing automation flows we had in created back in the days, which was like, why are you doing this for like 3 people? It's like, yeah, but if there's 3 people suddenly become 30 people and 300 people, it makes a big difference in that sense. So I think that has contributed a lot, just building the foundations, having a strong website that people get. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense to buy from these guys. Because technically right now, if you go to the web, like if you would find these players, you're like, wow, this looks like it was built in the 90s, like, or this looks like an indie hacker that puts it together. It's like, it's great, but not better in that sense. So I think branding and marketing has a lot in its play, because everybody can build a quick AI headshot generator that kind of works. But if you really want to build it to perfection, it's a marketing playbook plus a tech playbook. And I think most people approach things from a tech playbook, but not from a marketing playbook, which of course that was a strong suit. We had a whole team already operational to build these things. We had, I think it's funny to see even now on an offsite, we went to Italy last week. We had half marketing people, half tech people, which you don't usually find in a tech company where mostly it's like 90% tech and then there's a little bit marketing people coming and jumping around. We have 50-50 right now. So, I would say it has to do a lot with the marketing knowledge we had, opening up new channels, experimenting with a lot of things. We experimented with 8 channels, burned quite some money on TikTok, for example, that didn't work out. Burned in Facebook, didn't work out as well. Burned in Google Ads, which we got profitable only 7 to 8 months later when our product started evolving. So I think it had to do a lot. And I always thank the team. I would say we're now about 20 people. I wouldn't be able to do it alone now.
Totally. And what did your team look like from the very beginning to where it is now? If you could go through, like, we started with this kind of team, and then who are the people you added as you decided to grow? Because I think for a lot of founders, it's interesting to just know, like, hey, like, where do we start? Especially if it's just like at the very beginning as the technical co-founder and somebody to manage the go-to-market. I think that's definitely really good to start off with those 2 skill sets. But then who did you add as you grew?
So we had the CTO, of course, that's a good start. And so you have me from a go-to-market perspective, but then we also had 3 people in the team, basically 1 content, 1 more on the paid social and marketing automation, and we had 1 more on SEO, Google Ads, basically. I think that was like the 3 people that we really built the foundations, because you need content to do SEO, you need paid ads to kind of boost everything and testing things out. So I think we had 3 marketing, 1 tech, and we quickly compensated with adding more tech people to the mix, of course. So we hired an external agency to do the website. Went horrible. I would say they mentioned that they had the skill set, they didn't have the skill set, and suddenly he disappears from the globe for a month, and then he came back. He's like, "Hey, I'm back." I was like, "What?" No. So we had some really a couple of weird experience, I would say, growing and building the foundations. Whereas of now, we're about 20 people big. There's like even 8 in customer success. We have 24/7 support, which nobody has in the market. You can go online, chat with us 24/7 and get a reply within 3 minutes, which I think is really dope. I don't think Amazon even has that right now. I don't think any software company at this point has 24/7 support.
Well, the big companies, they'll say they have it, and they're like, go to our help desk, fill out the form, go through all of this hassle. So even if they have it, it's not good.
Exactly. We got metrics. We track every single month. We have our dashboards, and now we have like a response time of 3 minutes, resolution time of 8 minutes. So within 8 minutes, your issue is resolved, which I think is really cool. Like, I don't think like from a technical, like I would reinvest. We invested heavily on support because from our side, like the technology is good, but it's not great. Like you're still going to encounter issues with AI. And from the early on, we did two things. We invested heavily in customer support because we knew that we're gonna screw up at some point. Like there's gonna be probably 10, 20% chance that we're gonna screw up and we need to rectify it. So we built a solid customer support team, which if you go to reviews on Trustpilot, everybody's like, yeah, like it screwed up, but then they fixed it and they reached out proactively and said it was great. And so I was like, that's exactly what we're going for because we knew technology was not going to be good for the coming 2 to 3 years. So we need to fix that with humans, basically. And even to the extent where we have in the platform, you can actually request a human editor to work in images because, at some point we're talking to B2B, and for them, it's really important that it's not, if you're 10 people and 9 people succeed and one person doesn't, well, that doesn't really work. Like I need 10 people. So we had human editors included into each package so that we can say, even if the AI fails, we got a human editor. We got 7 of them laying around that work 24/7. And then within 24 hours, your issue is going to be fixed. And they're like, oh, okay. So even if AI doesn't work, you have some human editors to come in. It's like, yes. It's like, oh, great. That's what we need basically. So we did a lot of what we call the mechanical Turk solution, where you kind of like fix it with the humans on the backside until it gets improved in that sense.
But when you think about it, that is the best way to do something because it's like we all know AI hallucinates, it has mistakes. And so as it progresses, that margin is hopefully going to go down from 5 to 10% to, hey, it's less than 1%. But I think you're setting the precedence. Like whenever things don't work out, it's like, hey, you purchased the product. We'll deliver an amazing product, even if it is a human editor on that end. And we'll treat each of those as kind of like a learning opportunity too, of like, okay, what went wrong here? How can we make it better? So what I'm starting to write down here, my notes here is your moats as a business. Like what makes BetterPic hard to copy? So you have the customer support side where whether it's with the human editors, you make it right if things are wrong, you are proactive about support. You have search engine optimization, which really helps you dominate all the low cost channels that would allow you to grow. And as you grow your, average contract value, like that's amazing because you could also approach other channels, but you're sucking up all the low cost ones first, which is the smart play. Now, is there any other moats you're looking to build for BetterPic where you say, hey, this is what's truly going to make us hard to copy in this space? If any new person tries to come in here, this is how we're going to make it really, really hard for them to win in a market.
But it's funny because, we're just finalizing our fundraising and we got grilled all those questions. So it's still in my back of my head. But I'll give you a few basically. I think the first one is we're actually, I haven't seen this a lot because now we're like talking to other players. We're even like, looking at acquisitions where we're looking at the metrics. And so we have to realize along that route that we have the cheapest cost of goods industry-wide, basically. What that means is that we can deliver headshots much cheaper than any competition out there right now, which I think is quite substantial. And the reason why is because if your cost of goods is cheap, and that means you have more margin in the business, and the more margin you have, the more you can outspend your competitors. So at any point of time, if there is a pricing competition, or that means that we need to go to war, I call it the war chest. We have a war chest and we also have the lowest cost of goods to outspend any competitor that is needed. So I think that is, I always look at it from, sometimes it's not the tech mode, but it's the cost mode, basically. Can you build it cheaper? And because you build it cheaper, you can actually accelerate on the marketing side. And I think that's an interesting mode because we have a war chest now, and we also have a cost of goods that is so low that we can actually outbid any competitor if you want to right now. We're not doing it right now because we kind of want to like keep the stabilizing on the profit. We're still bootstrapped at this point. But if you want to, we could technically outcompete anybody in the market as we, as of now. And I think that's an interesting mode from not just from a technological point of view, but from a business point of view in that sense. And I don't think a lot of founders realize that if you build something that your margin is high, you can outspend your competitors. Or if you're building something that increases your ACV, you can start outspending or growing into new channels that your competitors can't have. So I think from a business perspective, that's basically the moat that we built in that sense. There's many more, but I think that's an interesting one already.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's always one of the questions we ask a lot of our clients too. Like, so we have a new client that's in the presentation, like ChatGPT for presentations, and they're going up against Gamma. And like, he's like, yeah, Gamma has like a very expensive, cost of goods sold when it comes to their free trial as they give people new presentations and everything. He's like, it cost me like about a cent, maybe half a cent to create these presentations. And so I'm like, when you're dealing with 20,000 plus signups per day, like that becomes pretty handy to have a lower cost of goods sold. And so I absolutely love these three. And what you reminded me of, I don't know if you've read the book Titan, which is the like biography of John D. Rockefeller. Super controversial dude, but his whole kind of perspective on the gas industry, that was his thing. He would go up to the competitor, be like, show me your books. And then he'd be like, okay, that's interesting. Here's my books. And you just kind of go through like how much, even with the same amount of oil he was refining, he's like, I am making so much more profit than you. Like, we should, like, I can buy you out. Would you like some of our shares? And so it was a really turning point for that because they just had the best margins, that they operated the most efficiently. And that gave them so much leverage when it came to all the other crazy things they went on to do. But it gives you a great foundation. So I love it. You got those at least three really key core moats that are going to make you hard to compete with. Now, where we left off was regarding, you got to 100K monthly recurring revenue, December 2024. Take us from then to now. Like, what happened? Because you almost you almost doubled that, like going to 300K, like you're just under the cusp of that. So that's wild growth. What happened this year? What went right?
That's a good question. So what went right? I think, a lot of things started to stack up. That's definitely there. But I think, so we opened up new channels for sure. We accelerated on a few channels. So for example, now affiliate marketing is a big channel for us. So we do about 80K, over 280K is coming from affiliate marketing. So it's really just people like talking about us, sending people to the website and saying, okay, purchase. And I think that's interesting because we realized this early on when we were growing, is like, actually, if you look at affiliate marketing, they're very happy with like a conversion rate of like 1%, maybe 2% on the websites. We had 9%. We had, from click to actually purchase, that was 9%, which affiliates were like, what the hell just happened here? I mean, it's not the biggest ACV, but if you send a lot of traffic, you can actually make a lot of money. We have some affiliates making over, I think it was 30, 40K, life changing, because somewhere in India, and they're like, this, I've never seen that amount of money. And I think that was interesting. Even in the last like 2 months, there was somebody mentioned, like, I've never made so much money because of you guys. And I think that's an interesting thing. If you can make money and you can have other people make a lot of money, I think you're in a good business, basically. And that's kind of defensible as well. So I think that's interesting. We double down on affiliates. We have a lot of affiliates coming in. It's like, okay, we heard it's good. We know it's good. You tested it. Now let us, vouch for it and grow that, because we're tired of this 1% conversion ratio. We want the 9-1. So yeah, we've made quite some people rich. And I think that's a good, if people can grow rich together with us, I think, that's a beauty deal out.
Yeah. But what I also like that goes back to your moat with SEO. Now I'm just going to make that one moat for you. The low cost channels, you're absorbing all of them. And it's like, you have SEO, which is fantastic. You have that part that's growing. And then there's the affiliate piece, which is also for a lot of startups. Like I was talking with David, who's the founder of submagic.co, and I went from like 0 to 7 mil in, I think it was like 13 months or something like that. It was just pure like affiliates. And so same thing. And they just continued growing that as well. So it's a fantastic channel for the right people. Now, what did you do to really get people excited about that? Because you showcased the conversion rate, which is truly, for a lot of affiliates, like they get screwed. Like the company might be sharing like, yeah, you get like 20%, 30% or something like that. But what you don't know is this funnel that the business has created actually good? And many times, especially for a lot of SaaS companies, it's like you're looking at your free to paid conversion, you're like, yeah, it's less than 1%. You're like, oh my goodness, I got to send 100 people to make a buck. And hopefully that buck is that one conversion is worth a lot, but you just don't know. So walk us through how you set up the affiliate side and really made people a lot of money.
Yeah, I'll even finish off the topic on that one is that I think the interesting thing about our business, and I think I learned from my first business, I learned how important cash flow is, and cash flow is king. So anything else doesn't really matter. And so the interesting thing about affiliate, and even for us, is that people actually pay us up front. So it's a pre-purchase that people make, so they purchase. We get the money in the bank, and our affiliates are getting paid about 30 days later. We've reduced that now, but it's about 30 days later in the beginning. And even for our suppliers, like the cloud providers that we had to pay was also 30 days later. So we're making money now and we're paying people 30 days later, which is, I think, a very good model because most people have to spend money. And then at the end, it's like there's a free trial of 30. I've worked with clients where it's like 90 days where they actually receive the money and you're like paying people, paying everything. And then 90 days later, you get some fraction and then you hope on the lifetime value, which, is a bad model for growth in that sense. So for us, that worked very well that we can actually get money up front and then later on pay people. So I think that was a definite channel that in this case that we need to implement in that sense. And in the beginning, I have to give a lot of kudos to our CMO, Thibault. Been working with him even before BetterPic. He's actually also from the agency. And, he basically has never done affiliates. What I love about the guy is that he used to be a mechanic before or like something with electricity. I'm not sure about that story, but like he used to be something with electricity. And then he jumped into marketing, just figured it out. And the same thing happened with him doing affiliates. Like, I've never done affiliate. I was like, probably that's a channel we need to do. He's like, let's just figure it out. So he figured it out. Has never done it. He just figured things out. He just went bootstrap into the place. Like, okay, how do I make this work? Read books about it. He spoke to some people. He's like, okay, I got this. And so he's the one that really grew up from 0 to 80K on his own, basically. I was not even involved into it. At some point, he was like, just figure out the rest of the business. I'm going to cover this one. So I guess that goes back to like, building an 8-player team is much more important than trying to figure out the rest. Like get the good people on the bus, which I love from the Good to Great movie, or not the movie, but the book is like, get the great people on the same bus and then figure out the direction on your own or like then kind of figure out the direction, which is basically what we're doing right now with the new companies. Like we hired a bunch of people. I think we hired 5 people this month only. We kind of know where we're headed, but we don't. And so we spent literally a full week just figuring out where the hell are we going. It's like, okay, now we're going there. Okay, great. So it's the same story basically. And he just got people hyped. He started sending emails to people ranking for keywords. He reached out to YouTube people. We actually ran ads where if people type like a best AI affiliate, softwares basically, or programs. We were actually ranking number 1 with Google Ads, basically. So we would just put ourselves first and then just all the people. We would even put our competitors in there so that we get money from us converting them.
From there.
So we have one campaign.
And then we could get a good feel for how their funnel is performing.
Exactly. Because the thing is like from a marketing point of view, you want to start thinking about how do I outspend my competitors. So we had a blog post saying, okay, we're the best, but then if you want the second best, here's a blog, and we would link to them. We would get money from them. So you would be making money on 2 sides. So that means that we can now outspend any competitor coming to us because they have to only bid for 1 keyword and get their money. We get double money. So that's basically how we always think about how we operate the business, I would say.
Yeah, well, that's a fun abundance mindset too. It's like, hey, we'll promote everybody, but we'll take a little cut of we'll be affiliate too for those companies. So that's awesome. Now, for each of the channels, what's kind of roughly the breakdown of like, okay, this, let's say like 100K every month comes through SEO. Is it like the other 170K comes through affiliates? What's that kind of breakdown look like?
Yeah, I mean, we have live dashboards today, but I know the top of mind. So I would say 80 of the 280K or 270K is affiliate revenue basically coming in. So we would almost call that, close to 40% is coming from affiliates. Then the rest, so Google Ads is another 80K, I would say. So that is definitely also coming in every single month. We got SEO is SEO, Reddit is also a big channel for us. So we actually own Reddit quite nicely. If you go to AI headshots and there's like, I tried three AI headshot players. That's us. So we dominated Reddit for a while, and still in that sense, I mean, it's fluctuating. Like Google is quite fluctuating, and especially the recent months, it's quite a fluctuation happening. So you have to be on top of the game. But we actually dominated to Reddit for a while, and still actually at this point. So I think the rest is technically organic, and paid social is right now also like a 20, 30K coming in. So there's a lot of channels that we're playing in. We have about 7 to 8 channels up and running. It's also our expertise, so that kind of helps. Like we know exactly how to execute those channels. We don't have an external agency for that. Now that we know how to run it, we are now looking for external agencies. And I've always had that belief is that first you want to know exactly what to do and have that ideally that knowledge in-house. That could be that by hiring, for example, a Wes that comes into the business and just operates like my own, and he figures it out and then he starts outsourcing it. But I never believed that an agency will make it work for you, basically, unless they're really deeply integrated into the business, which is why our agency was the same thing. We would really be integrated into the business. We would get an email address from your company. We would operate like we would be yours, because you really want to figure it from the business out and then outsource it. So same thing right now. We figured it out. Now we know Google Ads is profitable. Now we're looking for an agency to just run the day-to-day, and that's
okay. Awesome. Now to kind of wrap up too, like if you were to go back 18 months, and like this was all part-time too, so like what would you have done differently throughout this whole journey? Is there anything you would recommend, like a founder that's listening to this, like if they want to aspire to do the same thing? They're at 1.5K monthly recurring revenue right now. Is there anything you would have done differently in this journey to either get the results faster, do it with, I don't know, less burnout, or anything else to kind of change this trajectory?
Well, I guess on my side, that's very unique cases. I would go all in faster. I would say I kind of delayed that because, I mean, it also depends. I had responsibilities, like bought a house. There's certain things that, you can't just like throw away. And my mindset was more like, I need to make sure that I can provide for the family and make sure that that happens well. So, sometimes you don't have a choice in that one, but if I could and probably should have earlier backed out and just go all in, basically. That was probably what I would have done differently. I would say just go all in and take the risk a little bit further away. We would probably be a lot further right now, basically. But, sometimes life has other choices for you. I would have done that if I'm going all in and really believing in this is the next big thing.
Totally. But I mean, it's fantastic what you've still been able to do without going all in. I think a lot of people hearing even the headline of this podcast episode will be like, what? I want a part-time job like that too. Wouldn't that be amazing? And so cool. Now, where can people find out more about you, what you're up to? I know we'll link to BetterPic.io where people can check out the site, support you as well, and get better headshots because we all need them on LinkedIn these days. And so is there any other places where you like people to tune in, maybe ask you questions too, if they have any other pieces they want to learn more about?
Yeah, they can follow on LinkedIn. We're quite open about our metrics, as you probably know, very transparent about what we're doing. My goal is basically just to inspire the next generation of people that are growing businesses to like understand what metrics to look at, what are we looking at, what are we doing wrong, what are we doing good also. But like mostly like what is like the transparency of metrics. I think when you see these metrics, since like, you mostly kind of only know them after an acquisition, it's like, oh, that was what they were doing. And I don't know why people don't share that much, but I would like to more inspire people just to share more metrics and be open and vulnerable about the topic. And I think my inspiration is Buffer. I love what they're doing. They just have transparency all the way, even on the salaries. That's basically what we're building as well. And it's hard, like even for like salaries are open or equity is open. And you're having hard conversations. Even this week, I'm having hard conversations, but sometimes it's better like this than just to like find out like 5 years later, like what, you were making this? Like people talk anyways. Might as well have the hard conversations in you.
Totally. I love that. And yeah, where can people tune in and like kind of research more about like what you're doing on the transparency side? Because I think that's super interesting. Is that on the betterpic.io side or is that somewhere else?
On my LinkedIn. That's the best way to, I try to keep those splits, I would say, because we're going for AI headshots. So for now, it's on there.
Totally,
Probably
yeah.
need to start a blog and a YouTube one day. Probably on LinkedIn is the best way to follow along.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could definitely see you crushing on the, you get your own site, everything else like that too. But LinkedIn for now. We'll link to that in the show notes. But thank you so much for coming on, Ricardo. This is great. I know the last time we caught up too, you were at that 10K monthly recurring revenue. So this is always so fun when it's like, hey, there's like serious growth over such a short period of time. And I'm just excited for you in the future too. Like what is going to happen, because I can just see a lot more people doing this as the norm when it comes to how do you update your headshots and everything else like that too. Yeah, just hiring a photographer and stuff takes so much time. People just want the easy option. So I think that's really ties back into why product-led companies are going to stand out in the future. It's like at the end of the day, the easiest option is what people want. They don't want to learn your stuff. They don't want to watch your course. They just want the output at the end of the day as fast as possible. So thanks so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks, Wes. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And to wrap things up, thank you everybody for listening to this version of the Product Led Podcast. Make sure to rate, review this on wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple, Google, you name it, Spotify. I'm going to read every single one of those reviews, and that's how I know how to improve this. Also, if you want to stay in contact with me and learn what is going on in the world of PLG, and every single week get the best actionable deep dives on product-led growth, make sure to head on over to productled.com/newsletter. I am personally writing each of these deep dives every single week, and you're going to get a ton out of it. So make sure to head on over there to productled.com/newsletter.